Everybody. Let me invite Fox.
Hello.
And Sphere. And Kinkajou if they want to join. And Simon. All right, we'll give people a couple minutes to shuffle in, and then we'll get this party rolling.
Sounds good to me.
Simon, did we announce the space?
Oh, hold on a second.
Gotta let everyone know. All right, we'll get this party going here. Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Tari Show. So excited you guys are here with us today. This is a very special show because this is the first show we're hosting together, inaugurating the very first Tari Council. We have one of our esteemed council members with us on the stage, and we have another esteemed council member with us in the audience. And so, yeah, maybe why don't we start with that, Fox? Would love to hear your impressions of our first council conversation, and just your impressions so far in these early days.
So I had a great time in our initial council session. I have been very excited to see that everyone's very collaborative and looking to build. And looking to make this project the best it possibly can be. We got a lot of it was orientation, because it's our first meeting, but we still managed to get a couple of really critical items in. So I'm excited to announce those. I don't know if I want to say it just yet since we're still seeing people roll in. But yeah, the first meeting was very productive, and it was good getting to meet everyone who has been working really hard on this project and now is at the forefront of making large decisions with it.
100%. It was really, really awesome. Just speaking for myself personally, just seeing how much this project is loved, by the community and of course by the council members, and just everyone is bringing such great ideas and energy to the table. And I think that's, exactly what the project needs. The project needs, fresh perspective. Everyone has their unique point of view. Everyone is respected and respectful. And I think that's going to enable us to have just like a tremendous amount of success out there together. So I personally felt the first meeting was fantastic. And, as you pointed out, we're learning. It's early days. We're we're just kind of getting our bearings. And I think in the upcoming meetings and decisions we're going to be making in close collaboration with the community, I think are going to be really, really great and really help move the project forward.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have been waiting a little while, so I think we can go ahead and start announcing. So we'll have the recording either way.
Totally. Yeah. Let's. Simon, you've announced it on Telegram and all that. Oh yeah, I see. He did.
Yes, I have. Sorry, I was misunderstanding between myself and someone. Apologies.
No problem at all. Okay, great. Yeah, Fox. Why don't would love to just turn the mic over to you. Would love your thoughts on the things that came out of our first council meeting, decisions that were made, and your impressions on what's coming up.
Right. So our first council meeting was very productive. We had two major questions that were in front of the community. The first of which was the proposal for changing how the difficulty algorithm works, imposing a block penalty and tweaking one of the variables for how difficulty is adjusted. And after looking at the long conversation and detailed data that was given by Kinkajou and by Black Wolf SA, we decided we do want to go forward with this. We're asking, a little bit of an update on the tip to kind of codify it in the public documentation so everyone knows what's changing. But we believe this is the way forward. And while we don't believe it will necessarily solve all the problems we have right now, it should make a major improvement for those who are mining.
Yeah, 100%. I think I want to give a huge shout out to Kinkajou. Kinkajou has really been a driving force for this particular change, and I know it took a minute for us to kind of like coalesce and get there. But just like really mad respect and appreciation for Kinkajou for really working collaboratively with many members of the community, working with Esphere, working with Zhao, working with yourself, to because Kinkajou believes this is like very, very important. Like as they've stated many times, is like a security challenge for the network. We should not be living in a world where there's reorgs happening all the goddamn time. And we should not have like the situation we're having with the network with miners who are just like entirely focused on short-term profitability, essentially whipsawing difficulty back and forth. So yeah, just really, really mega appreciation for Kinkajou on pushing this forward, and then appreciation for the council for ratifying the change. So now Esphere, that's something where like what we're going to do is, as the council's making decisions, that's something that we need to then like work together to execute on, based on the council's decision. So that'll be the next step, and we'll talk more about that together.
And the second decision that we went over was in regards to the contract and remuneration for Tari council members. When we first were inaugurated, we were given a contract that had a different amount than was actually in the Tari charter. The reason for this, Naveen, I believe you've explained before, but it was your view and Tari Labs' view that the council members should have ownership in the project, and that this was a better way to ensure that everyone was incentivized to improve the project and feel a sense of ownership in it. I brought this up with the community because when I saw that there was a difference, it concerned me because it didn't go through the normal change process we wanted to happen. And I was like, hey, we should find a way to resolve this because this isn't really how we want to do decisions moving forward. And so we talked about what we wanted to do there. We decided that since the community generally is not too opposed to the actual change in terms of numbers, but they were bothered by the change in process, as I was, we're going to go ahead and commit those changes to the charter that were made, and then we're going to change the contract that is issued to council members, so that way it just references the charter instead. So for further changes in remuneration, we'll definitely have to go through the tip process as normal. So that resolves that issue.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll be the first to like take ownership for kind of like not abiding by our process. This is a decision that I made. From a Tari Labs point of view, on behalf of Tari Labs, and again, the agenda, the perspective from my end was, I just felt very strongly that it was very, very important that council members are rewarded for the effort they're putting in on behalf of the community and the time that they're putting in. And obviously we will be revisiting this as time goes on. But for this initial council, we really want there to be the right alignment of interest, and I think this is like the right way to achieve that outcome. And just a reminder that like I personally don't benefit from this change. Like I'm not being paid in this way. From my participation in the council. So this is really a decision that I feel very strongly will create a better outcome for the project and for the community, because we'll have people on the council who have a very deeply vested interest in the success of Tari. But to Fox's point, going forward, we will make sure we do a much better job from a process standpoint, from a communication standpoint, because it's very important. It's very, very important, and want to make sure we do a better job there.
Yeah, and so there were also some smaller things that came out of it. We haven't yet approved the core contributor process, but we have posted a proposal. Me in particular, I've written up a draft proposal, and I've already been getting feedback from several people in the community that had ideas of how to improve it. The core contributor program is going to be an amazing part of this project. It's going to give more power and more capability to community members to change and influence the direction of the project, to improve it, to really feel a sense of ownership about everything that Tari is. And we're excited to start inducting our first members as soon as we're able to get that process approved. So if you haven't taken the time to read over the core contributor proposal, I highly recommend it. I'm going to drop it in the chat. Let me find here the link. Here's the forum post where you can talk about it and view the link to the actual text. So yeah, we definitely want to get more and more feedback on this program before we start, to make sure we've got it rock solid, and then we're going to start moving there and getting more and more people doing stuff. For example, we know that as the consequence of making the choice for the difficulty adjustment, that we're going to need to start communicating with exchanges and working on the hard fork that's going to be required. And this is going to require creating a process for contacting exchanges and getting things rolled out. And previous to this, it's all been in a handful of people's heads and what knowledge they have to contact the right people. And we're looking at how do we make this part of core contributor duties to communicate with exchanges and get things rolled out. And that will allow us to make forks at a consistent cadence with a consistent methodology.
Yep, 100%. There's also going to be meaningful improvements that need to be made to how we communicate as a project. We don't post on socials enough, etc. So that's another element that the council's working on as well. I saw someone's comment about that in the chat. So obviously, we need to be tweeting, we need to be posting, we need to be doing a lot more. So it's one thing to communicate internally via our tip process and on the message board, which I think is like mission critical. The other dimension that I think is mission critical is just communicating with the broader like crypto community at large, through our socials. So that is something we're definitely actively working on.
Exactly. And the core contributor is going to be a good program is going to be a good part of that, because we want to be able to have people who are really excited in the community that know each individual social media platform well, to be able to take the messaging that we're trying to get out there and make sure it lands with the people that are listening.
Yeah, 100%. Totally. Okay, cool. Let's see. What else do I have on the agenda here? Let's see. Okay, let's talk about Oodle. So let's see. There are a couple like major things from Stan's end. So one of the things that Stan has been working on is groundwork for Ledger hardware wallet support on private transfers. So that is something that he is working on. He's also working on sort of a new implementation for how confidential outputs are stored. So that's another major element of the work that he's doing. And then he's also doing, working on sort of like rule sets around private transfers. So these are all, key elements to how the OODL works, because the OODL has a very interesting, sort of variable privacy regime, right? This idea that, by default, there's privacy on a peer-to-peer basis, as everyone knows, and beyond that. But you can create assets that have variable privacy in the sense that it's default confidential peer-to-peer, but the issuer of the token has visibility, and that's very important for things like stablecoins. So Stan is continuing to make excellent progress. And that's another thing, Fox, that we'll talk about in forthcoming council sessions is, the timeline for launching the L2 and the process for launching the L2. That'll be, something that is like subject to council review and decision making. So we'll be working on that together as well. Let's see. Esphir, do you want to share your progress on FastSync for the L1 and some of the other updates you've been working on?
So the FastSync is basically, I think the PR is ready, but there's some other bugs I've discovered in making sure it's ready to go in. But it's for the new wallet we've been working on. And the idea basically is almost like taking what Prune Mode does. In when you sync, you don't necessarily have to go through the complete history. For the wallet to work, you only need to look at the unspent bits. So basically, scan it to the unspent sets only. After that's done, it goes back and tries to fill the history and to properly make use of your wallet. You can see where you've spent and all that kind of stuff. But for the wallet to work, to function, you only need to look at the unspent set. So the actual wallet boot up time syncing is much quicker. And then another stuff I've been working on is going to get the wallet benchmark stuff ready. We're using that as a community benchmark to see if the library stuff is stable, if it's correct, the new wallet, because the current console wallet, it's there, it works. It's been kind of battle tested, but fundamentally the way it works is slow. And it's a problem, especially for exchanges and mining pool operators. So the new wallet works in a completely different, fundamentally ground up way. So it should be much faster for them. Then I've got a few things I'm working on which I can't share at the moment, but we'll share that when the time is right.
Awesome. Let's see. Other things on the list are, I want to give some bounty shout outs. So I don't know how to pronounce this person's handle, but Ajuijas, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. Earned 15,000 XTM for separating the indexer's monitoring metrics from its public API. So that's awesome. That was merged 4 days ago. TZMWW earned 15,000 XTM for a better Ledger installer, making the hardware wallet setup less painful. That was merged yesterday. So that's awesome. And then want to give you a huge shout out to Platts. Platts is working on a prototype for a new Tari.com landing page. So we'll definitely be looking at that and providing some feedback. And I think everyone should go look at that. That's up on the Tari message board. And Platts has submitted a proposal for a new Tari landing page, which is really cool. So those are the updates that I have on my list. I would love to open up the space now for any member of the community who wants to, come up, ask questions, or just chat. No pressure. Fox, is there anything else on your mind while we're allowing folks to decide if they want to come up?
So I've been kicking around the idea, and I'm doing a little bit more research here on exactly which one we want to use. We're looking at setting up a community wiki that would allow us to do things like write down processes and make sure that there's like articles where people can read a little bit more, and have a little bit more maintenance on it, so it's less it's easier for people to contribute improvements to our documentation, easier for people to write down our methodologies of doing things, and easier for people to jump in and help. Right now, a lot of processes that have been done before have been exclusive to Tari Labs, and as we move out into a community structure, we just need to document how we do these things and start looking at ways to improve them. And this could include things like the bounty process, like how do we find bounties, how do we categorize them, how do we get them sent out, that sort of stuff. So we want to make sure that we're taking all of our processes and making them repeatable, and that anyone can pick them up.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a great idea, and I think it's going to be really good. Turning like tribal knowledge into actual documentation. I think it's really great for reducing bust factor and also just getting more and more people involved in the project. So really appreciate your efforts there, Fox. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Oh, there is one more thing I'm curious about. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it in the first council meeting, but I'm curious if you happen to have any information you're able to share publicly about the progress of the stablecoin.
Yeah, totally. So Braille is the issuer, and they have been working on their implementation. I don't have an updated development update from them, but I'll go get that so we can kind of have an update that's more recent for the community. But yeah, they've been working on it actively, and I know they're very excited about that. They believe very strongly there's an enormous market opportunity for private stablecoins. They're getting a lot of requests for that from their customers, from their users. So I think that there's a huge opportunity there for Tari on that front. So very excited about it and excited to work with them. The CEO of Braille is a dear friend. Have a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for the work that they do. So I think that's a great opportunity for everyone in the Tari community.
Good deal. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, totally. Great question. Any other topics or questions from anyone? Now is a great
we got a couple of questions in the sidebar about Kraken and Cake, if there's any update there.
Yeah, good question. I have not followed up with Kraken, so I can do that and reach out to them. Cake is another one where I will reach out to Vic and just ping him and just find out what their current timeline is. Everyone has seen Vic's commitment to integrating Tari. I think it's more just like a timing challenge. So, but it's a really good question, and it's worth following up. So I'll reach out to Vic and that team, and hopefully have an update for everyone next time we meet up.
Yeah, and I think this is actually something that brings up more of the need for the core contributor program, because I think we have a lot of like irons in the fire, and being able to spread out more people that can give some more love and attention to each individual one of these things, rather than having them all be centralized, is going to be critical for our success. So I'm glad we're working on that.
I agree completely. You know, I don't want to be a bottleneck or be like single point of failure either. You know, I think everyone should be leveraging their strong suits and their relationships. At the end of the day, you know, we're all human beings, and we all have our superpowers, our relationships, and obviously, I want to use my relationships and friendships out there to help move the project forward and create win for all. Like obviously integrating Tari should be a great win for Cake just as much as it's a win for the Tari community, and same goes for Braille. And then in terms of Kraken, reconnecting with Jesse and the team there, is important for sure. I think we've talked about this, but exchanges, they're a business, and they want to work with projects where there's opportunity for them to be successful. So I think with Kraken, and it's the same with any exchange, just as we continue to grow and make progress together, then I think exchanges will be naturally interested and inclined to work with the Tari community. So and that certainly includes amazing exchanges like Kraken. So I think and then also as we improve our communication out there, I think that's gonna really help us as well. So anyway, that's kind of the update.
All right, I think that's everything that's really on my mind right now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you all so much for participating. Appreciate everyone in the community. Thank you, Fox. Thank you, Kinkaju. Thank you, Simon Esfier, for participating. And we will see you all next week. Just a note that I'm traveling. So we'll work on scheduling, but I'm going to be like planes, trains, automobiles over the next couple weeks. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be getting together. So we'll just figure that out. And I don't want to be a single point of failure at all for us to be getting together. But so we'll figure that part out. But thank you all so much for joining. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next week.
All right. Thank you all. Good talking with y'all. Bye.